This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. You're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, Stephen Joyner has sent me all kinds of intriguing and fascinating, talented guests. And he sent me a young lady here this evening that is a peculiar sort. Last time I was talking to her, she was getting her hair done, hopefully for a film shoot. I have the very lovely, talented, and beautiful Leana Lewis on the phone. How you do, Leana?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were you getting your hair done for this interview?
I was. I've been told I had a face for radio.
Actually, you have a beautiful face. Your face deserves to be seen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just wanted to know, how did you come to know Stephen Joyner? Was it the same as me through Facebook?
Yes, it was through social media. I'm not really sure how we found each other on there, but it was through social media, and he's been a great person to know. He's been a great friend to me and has introduced me to a lot of people in entertainment and the business, and including you.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how I come to know him too. I think I interviewed an actress that he was affiliated with, and he added me on Facebook, I guess through her, and I added him and kind of noticed some of his posts and had a few things in common, and he was my first guest of 2017, and that's kind of spilled out into all these interesting people coming on here, and I'm forever grateful for it, including having you on here this evening. So
Yeah,
this,
absolutely.
yeah. So this is Easter weekend. Is the Easter Bunny gonna find you?
Maybe it's possible. I probably will be home, but I will be heading out on Easter to go to New Mexico for to be ready for a shoot that I have scheduled for Monday.
I thought you were gonna say you were going there for an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah. That might be a bit far for that, unless the eggs had a lot of goodies in them.
You gonna eat a chocolate rabbit this weekend?
Maybe dark chocolate, and then go for a run. Luckily, the weather's warming up and nice, so I can start exercising and working out outside, which means I can eat things like that, chocolate goodies.
Okay. I was just wondering if you would give us a little bit of your background and your upbringing, and tell us how you come to be in film.
Okay, sure. Well, I was born in Ashland, Kentucky, and my birthday is Halloween, so October 31st.
Oh, that must be
And
special for you.
it was a very fun birthday growing up. There was always a party, and everyone had a good time. So it was always fun, and I could have dress up birthday parties. So very cool.
Okay.
I only lived in Kentucky for a few years, and I moved out to Wyoming, Pine Bluffs, Wyoming, a little town, with my mom, and I grew up there with my stepdad and my little brother. And in high school is when I started acting and modeling a little bit more. I just did some school plays, and I was Miss Wyoming American Teen. So I did some pageants too. And then my parents were amazing, and they drove me from Pine Bluffs, Wyoming to Denver, Colorado, which is about 2.5 to 3 hour drive once a week for several weeks, several months, so that I could take acting classes. So
Okay.
I
How
did
does
that.
how does a woman decide to go into modeling? Because modeling, it's got its pluses and it's also got its drawbacks.
That's true. And I can't really remember a moment when I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I think maybe what happened, I think possibly it started when I was walking through the mall in a nearby city, and my friend and I, and one of the stores there they were doing a fashion show. And I
Okay.
think they were just using normal people who were shopping at their store to do it. So they asked us to do a show for them. But modeling definitely has pros and cons to it, and I think it's important to have some good self-esteem or self-confidence going into it, and to work hard to maintain that while doing it too.
Okay. Well, I looked at your Internet Movie Database, and I knew you had a couple of short films there and a feature coming up. We'll talk about the feature momentarily, but the first one there, they had listed Terror Tales. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. And Terror Tales kind of helped me get my start again, because even though I did the acting and the modeling and the pageants in high school, after I graduated, I went into nursing school and became a registered nurse. And so I did that for several years, many years, and instead I'm kind of put the entertainment side of things on hold to be able to make more money and have a steady income. And so I've actually only been back into the modeling and acting for a few years. And Terror Tales was one of the first films that I was in when getting back into it. So it's a slasher horror film. It's still being filmed, and there are several different parts and pieces to it. When I was in it, I started. It's in an indie film, so I went to an audition and got the part, and I did an 80s video store scene, and I got to have some crazy 80s hair and wear the bright, crazy colors, and then I was eager to learn more about what I could do to help with film, and so I volunteered to help with hair, makeup, wardrobe, and eventually script supervising on that film as well. So it's given me a lot of experience as far as acting and in learning more of the crew work and behind the scenes things that go on too.
What's your favorite thing to do?
Acting is definitely my favorite. I like being in front of the camera, and I prefer film acting to theater. Probably mostly because I don't have to remember as much. The scenes are shorter, the lines are shorter, and I'm just not on the spot. So if I do mess up, I can redo it. I still try not to because that never looks good. But when you're on the spot in theater, it's a little more scary, at least to me. But I like to be in front of the camera and acting. Behind the scenes, I really do like script supervising as well, and just making sure that and catching little things that may be different in scenes, and making sure that doesn't happen to our film.
How did it feel to get in front of that camera for Terror Tales for the first time, and knowing that you're finally doing a film? Were you nervous?
I was mostly excited and definitely nervous as well. It was fun. The whole experience was fun. I wasn't sure what to expect. I felt very lucky to have been picked to do it, but my hair was very 80s looking, and the clothes were very 80s looking. So it was fun getting dressed up that way, and the way the 80s style video store was put together was amazing. It felt like being back into an old Blockbuster or video store. So it was cool. It was fun, and I met a lot of really fun other actors who were there. And then it was very exciting, and I was a little nervous that I might do some little thing wrong that would be noticed. So.
I was born in the early 70s, so I grew up in the 80s. Tell me about what was featured on the set for the 80s video store. Like what do you guys have posters on the wall or anything like that? How did you guys have that dressed up?
Oh yeah, they went to great lengths to make to set the scene. They were actually the video store was all in someone's basement, a room in a basement, but it had been completely transformed to have uh, the walls decorated with the 80s posters, the old shelves with the VHS movies. They had gone and I don't know where they bought all of them, but they have bought tons and tons, and the different sections with the horror section and then the family film section and kids and different things like that. So they had all of that. And then at the front where you can check out, I think there was a popcorn machine where you could just buy the popcorn and things like that there too. So it was very nostalgic to be there.
Obviously, being an independent film, they weren't able to license the use of actual movie posters and stuff, huh? Or were they?
I'm not sure what they did to do that. If they, I'm not sure all the different tricks they can use, but maybe they were blurred out in the scenes or, not close enough to tell what they were. I'm not really sure how they did it, but it was very realistic.
Do you have any favorite 80s movies? I got a ton, but
I'm not sure. I don't know. What are yours?
oh gee, I've got lots of them. Oh gee, well, I just did an interview with somebody today from the movie Risky Business, and that was definitely up there. And Fast Times at Ridgemont High that came out in the '80s, loved that. Um, I don't know, other stuff like Dress to Kill, Blade Runner. Uh, oh gee, all kinds of stuff.
Well, they're like the rom-coms, like Pretty in Pink,
Oh, that was
16
great.
Candles.
16 Candles. Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
So
yeah.
those and the Breakfast Club. I mean,
Yep.
probably the list could go on forever. There were a lot of great movies in the '80s.
Oh, there was tons of great movies in the '80s. I grew up in the '80s. I don't remember a whole lot of the '70s. I had my first 7 years in the '70s, but the '80s I remember fairly well. My parents used to take my brothers and I to the drive-in, and we'd see all kinds of stuff there. Of course, the drive-ins kind of died out here in the mid '80s, so I remember them, but that was how we used to see our movies, and then eventually, we ended up going to the theater, but when my parents were brave enough to take us. But anyway, yeah, I have a lot of memories of the '80s, and a couple of movies I've seen the last 5 years that had wonderful '80s themes were Rock of Ages, which came out 5 years ago, and that had a great '80s soundtrack where they combined some '80s music, a couple of '80s songs into each other. And I don't know if you've seen Rock of Ages, but well worth seeing, especially if you like musicals. But it's got a great '80s
Yeah,
soundtrack.
I did see it. I
Yeah,
did.
that.
And I'm actually not a big fan of musicals, but I thought it was great, probably because of the '80s music.
Oh yeah, I got the soundtrack, and I loved how they would combine a couple of songs together. And that movie just took me back. Another one was come out last year, a movie I saw 9 times called Everybody Wants Some, with which Richard Linklater's latest one, and that is set in that last weekend before college in 1980, and they made it look like 1980. They had the music from the late '70s, early '80, or 1980. And the music, I bought the soundtrack album, and it just took me back. And it was a wonderful movie if you like a little hit of the '80s.
Nice. I'll
Yeah.
have to check it out. I haven't seen it, and now that you said that you've seen it 9 times, I'm wondering why I haven't. So I think I need to.
Well, you know what? It wasn't marketed very well, but I mean, it was Richard Linklater, who's a very creative guy, and they called it his spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused. And of course, Dazed and Confused was set in the '70s, so this one here is set in the '80s. Yeah, yeah, I actually did a couple of interviews from it too, which was also special. So, and they were they were quite happy that I'd seen it 9 times as well.
I bet.
Yep. And moving on here, though, you did another little short film called Rage of the Mummy. Why was the mummy raging? Did you wake him up?
Well, so I was invited to be in that movie by someone who was working on Terror Tales, and he was helping out with Terror Tales, but then he wrote and was directing Rage of the Mummy. So it's another horror film, and in which I play a police officer, and I'm helping with the investigation.
Do you arrest
of
the
some
mummy?
murders.
Do you?
I do not. No. Mm-mm.
Wouldn't you like to book
No.
him?
Yeah, he
Get
would
the-
probably get away though. I think he'd probably just unwrap and
Just
go.
use the pepper spray on him.
Right. That might work. That might be the only thing that could work. But yeah, so the mummy is angry because of some relics that people have that they shouldn't, that should have remained secret and not brought back into the scene. So he's mad at a lot of people and wants to get revenge on all of them. So he does.
So what was it like, the transition going from Terror Tales to Rage of the Mummy? Were you more confident this time out?
I was, and I knew some of the actors at that point and the director, so I less nervous and just more excited to have the role. They're both horror films, slashers. Actually, that's a lot of what I've done.
Yeah.
And very different roles, but still fun. So it was a nice transition.
Now,
That's a good film.
Terror Tales and Rage of the Mummy, they're both short films, are they not?
No, they're both features.
Oh, are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, okay. Guess I must have I misread that. Actually, no, your parts weren't very big in either one of them, were they?
No, right, yeah.
I guess
my
that-
parts were very small.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of, because you got one coming out this year called Bear Creek, and I do know that you have a big part in that.
I do, yes. Bear Creek, in that film, I play a park ranger. And again, it is another horror slasher film, but this one is actually an LGBT film, so it's got a specific audience. But it's a film about a group of guys that go camping, and while they're there, some terrible things start happening, and they find out that they are being watched and stalked and trying to survive from that point on. So while all of that is happening to them, they call for help from the park ranger, and I come in and try to help them.
You know something? I saw a picture. Showed you as the park ranger, and it showed somebody in a vehicle, the door open, and he slouched forward and his hind end sticking out. And I just had this humorous assumption that, what if they're in Yellowstone Park and the bear in question is Yogi? I mean, they do say he's smarter than the average bear.
That's true. That could be pretty scary if that's what was going on. I had a lot of people who saw that picture who thought that it looked like maybe I had been the one to shoot or kill him. So there were a lot of questions on that picture.
I don't know. My mind went into a dark place. The guy was leaning forward, hind end hanging out. I thought maybe Yogi Boo Boo took the liberties with him.
That could have been too. That's true. I was just kind of in that picture. I'm just kind of looking at him like, what happened? So, yeah, and yeah, we had a lot of fun with that scene. We had a lot of fun making the movie. So there are lots of joking around and conversations.
Well, yeah, animal pictures can be really, really fun to do, especially if you get an effective animal movie picture. I know Bats wasn't exactly good, but I don't know. I liked Anaconda more than a lot of people did. I don't think they can move as fast as they did in that movie, but they were certainly an inspiring choice for an animal antagonist for a film. Well, bears definitely fall into that category as well. And of course, Bear Creek, I don't know how wide that will get a release, but it sounds to me like it's got a great scary premise to it. Scott, what kind of bear is used in that movie?
Well, actually, because it's an LGBT film, the bears that they are referring to in it are part of the gay bear community, which is
Okay.
a group of guys who are like hairier or more like mountain men, manly men kind of look. That they're in the gay community. They're called bears. So the group of friends that go camping, the group of guys are men that are part of the gay bear community. So that is why that's actually where it gets the name Bear Creek. Also, the bear that is hunting them, I'm not sure how much I can give away.
Well, this is not going to air out for
um,
about 6 months, so you're probably good.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, it has opened in a film festival. It was in the My Bloody Valentine film festival in Denver. So
Okay.
it was seen there, but I know they were going to make some changes, but before a bigger release. And the bear it turns out to be someone who they have had some disagreements with previously. They've done some things to make it angry, and it's not an actual animal. It's just a costume that a person's wearing. So.
Oh. So we don't get to see a big Kodiak or grizzly bear in this film?
Unfortunately, no real actual animal bears in this one.
No Yogi or Boo
So that
Boo?
would have been interesting.
No Yogi or Boo Boo?
No. Unfortunately not. No.
What about
Not
Ted?
Ted, oh gosh. I wish. He's cute.
Ted would have been good for that movie.
I'm sure he would have had lots of things to say.
Yeah, this won't air out until towards the end of the year, so it's like September, October, and we're just in April right now. So you're probably safe. So I won't get you in trouble that way. But no, of course, and you haven't really given anything away because we don't know who this person is. So we're you haven't exactly given too much of a spoiler there. But I've heard of that before, gay mountain men being called bears. I don't get. I was just talking to somebody today about who did a voice in one of the '80s My Little Pony movies, and I'm like, I don't understand how that's become what it is. And I'm not in any way trying to be offensive towards their lifestyles, because I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that I like that people are like scratching their heads at. Well, I suppose when somebody's involved or in something that is a little strange to some people, it makes you scratch your head. So sometimes you look at it and it's like, I don't get it. But then again, from their point of view, they probably don't get us either.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we all have preferences, and with the gay bear community. They just like men who are manly men versus men that are more feminine. And so I guess I could get that more, actually. And I had a great time. We actually went up to the mountains, and we're camping for several days. So for a woman to be up there and making this movie with all of these great-looking men and not having to worry about any of them hitting on her or trying to ask her out or go on dates or anything, that was great. It was wonderful. It was a good time.
You didn't want any bears asking you out?
Well, I mean, I just didn't have to worry about it. They were great-looking guys, but I knew that they were not at all interested in me.
Oh, I bet Ted would be interested.
I think you're right. I think Ted would. He's a unique bear.
Ted's a unique bear, that's right. So when's this movie supposed to be released? Why is it going to get a wide release, or is it just going to stay in the independents?
As of right now, it sounds like it will stay in the independents. It'll probably do some more film festivals and things like that. Like I said, we had an opening of it on the weekend close to Valentine's Day, and that was mostly for friends and people in the Denver area to see it, and then to give some feedback as to what changes could be made and how to make it better. And then I know the director was taking that, and the cinematographer taking those edits and making them, and then they were going to release it more in more places. So I think either they've scheduled it or they've already released it in San Diego, and I'm not sure what other film festivals it'll go to next.
What was the crowd reaction to it? You was there, I take it, weren't you?
I was at the one here in Denver, and it was good. I mean, it had a lot of kind of funny parts to it. It was funnier than I thought it would be, because my part in it is very serious, and I spent pretty much the entire film dying. But the way it was put together made it a little more comical, and I think they did a great job. So I enjoyed watching it.
You think they're good?
I think it's a completely different experience when you are watching yourself on film too, versus just another random movie.
Do you like watching yourself on film?
I don't really, but I do think that they did a great job with it. I think that's kind of the movie magic of when you can be on set and filming something, and you do it several times each scene, and each time you have different things that you think you may not have done well or that you could do better, and if you watch it, the raw recording of it, you can see just everything you did wrong. But then once they take that and they edit it and adjust the lighting and the sound and all the different things, all of a sudden this scene that was mediocre now looks amazing on screen. So I think that's kind of where the movie magic happens, is in the editing room.
So tell me, do you think they'll do a sequel, only this time it'll be a bunch of lesbians going up in the mountain?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I know the director's working on another film right now, and it doesn't have anything to do with it. There's been no mention of doing a sequel, but I guess we'll see. If the interest is there, then I guess it's always possible.
Here's a pitch. You got all those burly mountain men up there in the woods. And you could send up a bunch of the WWE women's wrestlers up there, and you could have a two-sided brawl.
That might happen, but I think with the ending of Bear Creek, there really aren't too many of the bears left, so it wouldn't be a very good brawl. I'm one of the people who survives. There's another bear that survives, and there are a lot of people who don't. So they would need new people for a sequel. So it could be women instead. But if the women went up, especially the WWE women went up there, they would win for sure.
Yeah, I could see somebody like Paige going up there.
That's true. And I would have to just be neutral and not take any sides because either way I would lose. So I'm a little small for picking a bear fight or a WWE fight.
Well, look at AJ Lee. She's small.
That's true. That's true. But tough.
Yeah.
Probably all muscle mass, unlike me. So.
Or you can get somebody like Beth Phoenix up there. Now there you go. That gets them a little tougher.
Right. Yeah.
Listen, I was just wondering. You know, I know I'm joking around up here. You know, but I was just wondering. You know, you obviously your character. You mentioned must go through quite a few ordeals up there. Was there any scenes that were really hard or challenging to do?
I don't know if I would say they were hard or challenging. There were some that I did a little. I did a little more research on, and there were some that I had to learn on set. Like there's a scene where I have to handcuff someone, and I didn't think about the fact that I don't know how to handcuff someone and also hold a flashlight. So I had to do it with one hand and hold a flashlight with the other because it's at night. So there were things like that it was just kind of funny in the moment that we had to I had to get some education on how to.
Well, that's easy. You just you do what I know of women that do. You kick them in the kick them in the family jewels, and then you have them subdued. Guarantee you'll be able to handcuff them.
That's true. I could have tried that. That would have definitely worked because the particular person that I was handcuffing was quite a bit bigger than me too. So that would have worked. But yeah, so that one, and there's a scene where I get stabbed. So I practiced dying and falling to the ground many times to make sure it looked real and that I wasn't trying to catch. It's very hard to not catch yourself when you're falling to the ground and just let yourself fall.
What was it like in the makeup chair? Because you must have spent a little bit of time there.
I did, and it was fun. I thought it was really cool to have these wounds and these injuries on my body, and I didn't want to take them off. They look really awesome. Like it's like when you hurt yourself and you want to show your friends or show people, like, look at this, what happened to me, and you want everyone to see it. That's kind of how I felt with.
Did you have any makeup job done on your face?
No. No, I didn't.
You see, that would be the thing. You could go back home and say, that person will never mess with me again. He looks worse.
That's true. We did there was one night that we were filming, and it was a very late night. We were filming pretty late, and we had to go into a convenience store, and so the person I was doing the scene with, he did look pretty tore up head to toe, and so we voted him to go into the store to get our food or our drinks or whatever we're getting, and so he did get a lot of looks, and I think he would have gotten even more had I gone in with him dressed in a police officer type park ranger.
You should have done it.
Uniform. So I feel like maybe the actual police may have been called on us, and that wouldn't have been a good thing. So
I have a story for you. I did an interview earlier this week with a comedian named Dale Hilton, and he had done a couple of independent vampire movies, and he said in one of them, he gets tore up really bad to the point, he's got fake blood all over him, and he went to one of those little roadside gas bars to go clean up in the little washroom. And he said that he got a lot of stares from people, and he had said that there was like this elderly woman outside someplace, and he saw her. He goes, slipped in the bathroom.
Oh gosh.
Or something to that effect. But he said of all the nights that he could have went there, that was the night where there was so many people. And He walks in there. He looks like he just went through Apocalypse Now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be the time. That would be the time that would happen.
Oh yeah, he was mentioning, he had like guts, his fake guts hanging out of him and stuff.
Yeah, well, I can say there have been some photo shoots and different things, some modeling things that I've done that I've been concerned, or even the '80s shoots. My hair was so big and my makeup was so terrible that just driving home or whatever we were doing right immediately after was kind of embarrassing. I definitely tried to hide a little bit.
I saw a picture
So.
on Facebook of you today where you had because you got long blonde hair. You had your hair done up in braids. You had these two pigtail braids on the side of your head.
Yes, yeah, that was one of my looks for the TV show that Get Shorty that I was just doing down in New Mexico. Those hair and makeup gets to choose what I look like. So they chose that look for me, and it just so happened that a lot of the scenes that we did for that day, that we did a lot of scenes for that day. So I had that look for several days on set.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's a funny look. You see it typically with schoolgirls, but I always find it funny, and I don't mean this insultingly, to see older women with their hair done up like that.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a funny look. It's not one that I sport at home or offset. So.
You could take some hairspray and make them stand out to the side like Pippi Longstocking.
Right? That's what I said when they were doing it, but they said no. So.
Yeah, Get Shorty. Now, I know the movie Get Shorty with John Travolta. I'm not familiar with this TV show, and yet I've seen some posts you've mentioned that. Tell us about this.
Okay, well, Get Shorty is a TV show that it hasn't been released yet. It hasn't aired yet. So this is the very first season that we've been filming, and
Okay.
it's based off of it has the same concept as the movie. So a mobster turned movie producer in Hollywood, and he's trying to make a go of it and try to be legal and legit and do things the right way. And so yeah, that's pretty much the same basis, only now they're making a TV show out of it.
What's your role in it?
I work in the office with them, and so I am art department. I work in the art department, and I also am an assistant director on set. Well, a fake assistant director in the movie or in the TV show on set when we're filming their fake movie.
So you're like a regular in this. If this gets picked up, this will be good stuff for you.
Possibly. We'll see. We'll see. It's a small role again, even though I'm in the office all the time. So I'm probably in several scenes. I'm still just an office worker. So, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I feel like if you were to watch, or we were to watch The Office or another show that's filmed in an office, there are probably a lot of background or a lot of other people that are in it all the time that we don't really notice or realize are there. So we'll see how it goes. If it gets picked up for the whole season, or if it continues going, where they'll be filming and what my role will be in it.
Yeah, you must get to travel quite a bit when you do this. Is there any places you get to travel that you that you like best, that are memorable for you?
So far, I haven't gone to a lot of different places. There's in Colorado, most of the work is indie, so I've just traveled around Colorado, just up in the mountains and in town and places like that. Longmire, Get Shorty, Better Call Saul, the TV shows that I've been doing are primarily in New Mexico. Get Shorty also films in LA, but that's most of their outdoorsy shoots. And Our Souls at Night is another Jane Fonda and Robert Redford film that was in Colorado. I'm trying to think where all I've gone, but most things have been fairly local. I think some of the films that I have coming up in the future will probably take me to several different places, but so far, nothing too exotic or exciting.
What do you have coming up in the future? Any future projects that you can talk about?
Well, Monday and Tuesday, the next TV series that I'll be working on is called Scalped, and that is a DC comic, or based on a DC comic. It has a lot of Native Americans in it. It's being filmed in New Mexico, and as of right now, there are not a lot of white people in it, and it's very funny because I'm pretty white. I mean, blonde hair, blue eyes, not a good tan. So I will probably stick out like a sore thumb, but I have a role in that, and it's going to be a featured role. So it's something, and this is just for a pilot, so there's no guarantee that it will take off. I know that they're filming the first 3 episodes, so the good news is that my role is something that if it does take off, it's one that could be bigger. So that's what I have coming up this week, and then I'll probably be doing a little bit more on Longmire in the near future for this last season of it. And then it's very hard to say for sure when it comes to anything that's more than a couple weeks out.
Yeah.
Because they anything can happen. Either the film may happen, it may not happen. They might get funding or lose funding or postpone, or might get a call that they've decided to move it to closer time. So there are just so many things that can change it that it's hard to even talk about it for sure.
Well, I hope that the DC is that DC you mentioned?
Yeah, it's a DC comic.
Okay.
Or based off a DC comic called Scalp.
Well, I hope that works out for you. If that gives you some a feature, something that gives you steady work. I hope that works out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. Me too. I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a lot of fun to do it, and I know a few people who are also going, also in it, and so I think it has a lot of promise, and the fact that they're making 3 episodes versus just the pilot says that there's some interest. So could be good. Could be really good.
Is there anything that you can?
And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, is there anything you can tell us about the role that you play in it?
Well, I can tell you what it's about is it's a crime story that's set on a reservation, and it's in a community that's led by Chief Lincoln Red Crow, and he is. I mean, he's just trying to work with another native who has just returned home after being away for a long time. So my role in it right now, I believe that one of them owns a casino. So I'm just assuming here and making some assumptions, but the casino is where he gains his power and a lot of his ability to run things, probably obviously where the crime comes from. And I'm going to be a waitress or a main person in the casino. So I'm not really sure where that will take me.
Okay.
It sounds like, a waitress, but it's a featured role, so I'm not sure what exactly it all holds or entails.
Any other projects you got do up?
As far as being coming out. Um, like I mentioned, I'm working on Longmire. This is the last season of it, and I'm able to play a nurse on it, which is a lot of fun because, like I mentioned, I went to school and I'm a registered nurse as well. So it's a lot of fun to be able to play a nurse on TV or in a movie versus actually being a nurse. So I do like that part, and I've actually just started watching all of the episodes of Longmire so that I can get caught up on everything and see who's who.
Okay. You got any? Do you have a web page?
I don't. I don't. I don't have a website anymore. I used to have one for just my modeling, but honestly, all of the different social media sites keep me very busy, and so I do have a lot of social media sites and things like that. So I have my IMDb. I have a Facebook page, which is this Leana Lewis Official, and then of course I have what else? Twitter and Instagram, and those. Trying to think, am I missing anything? Is there another social media site?
I think you pretty much get the gist. Any charities that you're involved in?
Not at the moment. I volunteer and help with a lot of different things, but at this time I don't have any that to really talk about.
Okay. Well, it was awesome that Steve Joyner was able to connect us together this evening. I was looking forward to definitely hearing about Bear Creek because, you get to play. Are you the lead in that movie?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know that I would be called. I don't know if anyone is the lead, to be honest.
Because I know you have. I know just judging from looking at what I have seen of Bear Creek, you get a bigger role in that. What was it like going from a smaller role to a bigger role? Was it a challenge to have all that extra material, or was it something that you just embraced?
Yeah, I loved every minute of it. It was great to be able to be on set and have bigger roles and more speaking roles, and to be a bigger part of the whole film, and to be able to interact more with the other actors. And luckily, the people who I was in the scenes with, we did some little rehearsals before we went out there, and it was great. I think there was really good chemistry, and there's more action in it, and you really can just be a character when you're doing the background work and stuff like that. It's not, you can kind of get into character, but you just kind of are what you are, and you don't really have a lot that you can do with it. But when I finally had a role where I could express myself and actually act, it was so fun and exciting. It's probably the game changer that made me decide to stay in it and keep going and pursue more, because I had such a good time doing it.
Well, Leana, it was wonderful having you on the show this evening. I know Steve Joyner had made a lot of positive comments about you, and hopefully he'll have you on his show Curtain Call soon enough. I know he's very good at circling people around to these various podcast, and I'm very thankful that he directed you at mine. I wasn't familiar with you before he had brought your name up, but he has this way of bringing up very interesting people for me to interview, and you've certainly been that. And I find it funny because hearing about Bear Creek, I was expecting it to be about an attack bear. I found out a little something different, but that Okay,
Well, it is an attack bear. It happens to be a bear costume.
okay. I'll go with that. I'd still go see the movie. So hopefully, that'll get hopefully it'll do well on the independent circuit. Maybe they'll decide to give it a wide release, and then everybody can win then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be awesome. That'd be amazing. And yeah, I'm really glad that Steve introduced us, and so that we could get together and talk and to do this. And he's been definitely instrumental in introducing me to a lot of different people, and trying to. He is constantly helping people to move them forward and to improve or increase their careers and getting them out there. So definitely thankful for everything that he's done, and I'm glad that he thinks that what I'm doing is interesting and important enough to recommend me to talk to you and other shows and stuff too.
Well, of course, when this goes on my YouTube channel or any place that I happen to post, any social media that I post it, well, anybody that listens to this will get to hear about Bear Creek and your other movies that you're in, and maybe it might increase their audience. So we can only hope.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, before we go, I was just wondering if you would do a plug for my show.
Sure.
Yeah, you might want to write this down. Just say your name, and just say you're listening to Python's Paradise. Python like the snake. Say you're listening to Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert, and I'm out of New Brunswick, Canada.
Okay. So listening.
Yep. Python's Paradise like the snake. And of course, my name's Greg Gilbert, obviously, and out in New Brunswick, Canada. You ever been up this way before?
I have not. I haven't. Although with all of the crazy politics going on in the U.S., I probably should.
Yeah, Canada's become very, very popular since that.
I'm sure. I've actually heard that. Well, all during the I guess prior to the election or during the election, so many people we're going to Canada, and I really think that some of them may have been serious. So they may be there now.
Yeah.
And just did I say in Fredericton, New Brunswick, or just New Brunswick?
Oh, you could say Fredericton, New Brunswick. Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Because I guess there's a New Brunswick and New Jersey, or I think New Jersey, so I want to avoid that distinction. So Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. You ready?
Okay, I think I've got it.
You got it? Okay, shoot.
I think so.
Shoot.
Okay. This is Leana Lewis, and I'm listening to Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada.
That was perfect. Spot on perfect. I've had some performers who have been in some big feature films that have took them a couple of times to get that right. So you got it right in the first go. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, I thought maybe that if I messed it up, you would let me do it again. So there was no pressure. That made it easier.
Well, unless somebody makes a request, I don't do a lot of editing. So I always keep the flub ups in there because it makes the interviewee sound more human, because we live in such a celebrity obsessed culture. It's kind of nice to hear somebody make mistakes, and flub up, and makes them sound more human.
That's true.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't do a lot of editing on here. I did edit the other night. I had one of my guests gave his email address out toward the interview, and I had to go in and I had to edit that out so that he didn't get a bunch of private messages, but didn't want that.
Yeah, that could be messy.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
I didn't want that either.
No. Well, anyway, Leana, when this comes out, I'll send it to you on Facebook, and you'll be free to post it wherever you please. It'll probably be a few months down the road, so just ask for your patience.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
And folks,
I hope it was good.
I think it was fine. Folks, you've been listening to Python's Paradise with my lovely guest, Leana Lewis, who's in a new film, Bear Creek, and she's going to play a kick-ass cop in it, right? Or park ranger. Kick-ass park ranger. There you go. So I bid you a great evening, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Great. Thank you very much. And have a good evening to you, too.
Okay. God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.